When is it time to begin your grief healing? When is it time to start your work? When is it time to go after the brokenness in your heart? And it's a very good question because most of us believe that we're waiting for a sign. And I'm not sure what the sign is, but we're waiting for a sign to come before we start our grief healing. I had a different live plan for today, but yesterday when I was doing the live, we were talking about being ready to do your grief healing and what that actually looks like and what it feels like. And a couple of ladies said in there that they weren't ready to do their work. And I distinctly remember that being me. I remember being the person that wasn't ready. Hey, I remember being the person that wasn't ready to do my work. I remember being the lady that wasn't ready. Austin died in 2006. Up until Austin died, even though I was grieving deeply, even though I was deeply grieving, I wasn't allowing myself to grieve in front of Erica, who is my baby sister, who is the mother of Austin. Austin was my nephew. I wasn't allowing myself to grieve in front of her because, hey, Aida, because I thought that it was disrespectful. And I honestly had this thought, and that's where grief thoughts come in. I had a thought that it wasn't that my grief wasn't worthy, but that it was less than. I took my own grief of what I tell you guys not to do, and I put it in a hierarchy view, right? So I believe that Erica and Lewis were here, and I believe that they were absolutely grieving. And then I believe that I was somewhere down here. And that my job was to look up towards them and make sure they were okay in their grief. It was my job to look at them and make sure they were okay in their grief. That's honestly what I thought. And so I hear so many people say, I'm not ready to do my grief work. I need to be ready. But this is my question. What is ready? That's my question to you. What is ready? What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for a lightning bolt? Are you ready for the call? Are you ready for someone to come and tell you, hey, it's time? You've said it, you thought it, or maybe you even believe it. But I need to ask you something real today. If your heart was absolutely shattered, which it is, from that experience, and your world is totally falling apart, like it is, thank you, Miss Debbie, I really appreciate you. What are you actually waiting for? What are we waiting for? If our hearts are so broken, what are we waiting for? If you and I walked out here today and I walked off the curb and I cut myself on a rusty aluminum can, you would help me get to the car and you would take me to the hospital or to the urgent care so that they could start seeing about the wound. They can start seeing about the wound. If you had a deep cut on your leg, you wouldn't wait. If you had a sore throat, you wouldn't wait. Tony's had a sore throat. He's been to the urgent care twice this week. He hasn't waited. But yet, even though grief feels like someone has taken a knife and went clear through our soul, and most of us are walking around with this knife sticking out. It's an imaginary knife, and we're walking around with this knife sticking clear out of our heart. It has made this deep, deep hole right in the center of our heart. We feel it every single day. We feel this every single day. This knife is sticking out, but we're not taking care of it. We're not taking care of it. EK says, I think that some of us have to feel a little strength. I think your strength comes from the healing. Your strength comes from looking at it. I don't want to, the resilience to return to be able to face it. I promise you that the closer to the event happening, the rawer you are, the deeper you're going to be able to go. The deeper you're going to be able to go. Because as time goes on, you're going to forget some of the things. They're not going to all be there. You're going to forget some of the things. As time goes on, we start to make the grief about other things. Grief is a wound. It absolutely is. And I promise you, you don't need to be ready. You just need to decide that you're done hurting. You just need to decide that you're done with it. This week and yesterday, last night in the live, we were talking about when are you ready? When are you ready? And what does ready really mean? What might be keeping you stuck from moving forward? If you are grieving, if your heart feels like it's bleeding, then this lesson is for you. Friends, I want to tell you about 2006. 2006, I was a real estate agent. I was sitting in a real estate open house. And I got the call from Brittany that she had lost Austin. Mom, I lost Austin. And I'm telling you guys, when I tell you the fear in her voice, my knees went weak and I fell to the ground. I knew instantly right there at that moment that it was not going to be okay. I knew right there at that moment that we were not going to be okay. But something told me to keep my voice strong. It told me in my head, just keep your voice strong, because I didn't want to freak her out. I didn't want her to know that my knees had already hit the ground. And so I kept my voice strong. When I tell you guys that I knew nothing, hey, Linda Lou, that I knew nothing about grieving, I knew nothing about grieving. I didn't know anything because my parents didn't sit down and talk to me about grief. I knew that grief was, we did grieving from death. When I think about how naive I was, I honestly thought, this is what I thought, you guys. This is the truth, because I'd never really thought about it before. I really hadn't gone that deep into it. I thought Erica and Lewis were going to grieve. And then I thought the rest of us were just going to be support to them. That we were going to orchestrate the food, that we were going to talk to the people, that we were going to get the funeral stuff ready. And that we, this over here, the support people, weren't going to feel the grief. I thought that, this is how naive I was. I thought they were going to be the grievers. See right here, I'm going to mark it on here. And we were going to be support. Now, I only thought that the first or second day, that God really thought, okay, we're going to be support. They're going to grieve. They're going to grieve. So we need to take care of them. They're the grievers. So we need to take care of them. That's literally what I thought from the moment I got the phone call. Because I want to tell you this also. The pain of grief didn't hit my heart right away. The pain of grief didn't hit my heart right away. Why? Because I tend to be a be strong woman. I'm a be strong woman. And I didn't come by that lightly. It is what I've seen my father and mother do time and time again. So instead of dropping down here into my heart, I started to be strong. And in being strong, I was making the phone calls. I was calling the funeral home. I was talking to people. Oh, yes. Oh, no, she's doing okay. Oh, yes. But every morning I would wake up. And every morning I would remember that Austin had died. And every morning my heart would re-break. Every morning my heart would re-break. And I would remember that he died, and I would cry. I would take a shower. I would go in the shower and I would just cry and cry and cry. And I knew when I put my hand on that knob to turn it off that those tears had to stop too. Why? Because I couldn't cry in front of them. I wasn't going to cry in front of my children. I was going to go back to being strong. And I did that week in and week out. I kept doing it. I didn't try to find any grief help for me. I didn't even try to find grief help for my daughter who was there. Because I took Erica and I put her in a hierarchy. And I said, she's going to grieve deeper than us and she's going to need the help. And that's where I started. I started looking for help for Erica. When will you be ready to do your grief work? At that moment, I wasn't ready to do any grief work because I didn't think I was grieving. And then when I tell you guys that, I'm not making this up. It is absolutely true. Until I got to the point where I couldn't stand it any longer. But I still wasn't sharing it. I wasn't talking about it. Let's begin at the beginning and let's begin at the truth. Most people don't want to grieve because they don't want to say their thing out loud. They don't want to say the thing out loud. This hurts. I'm broken. He's not coming back. She's not coming back. When I tell you there is no feeling ready to face your grief, it was around the 8.5 months, almost going into 9 months, that I walked into the grief class and I was like, this is Erica. I walked in, I had my arm around her, and Susan was our grief specialist. And I was like, Susan, here is Erica. She's the mother of Austin. Austin has died. Now I'm over exaggerating this, but it was really literally this dramatic. And Erica sat on a couch over there. I sat in a chair right here. There were like 28 of us. She went around the room. She was asking everyone why they were there. As she was going through the room and people were talking and sharing about their loss, and they were sharing their story, it was getting closer and closer to me. And I realized at that moment, nobody had ever asked me about me. I never got to share the story about me. I never got to share the story about me being Austin's aunt and me breaking down in the grief. And man, the minute my mouth opened, the floodgates opened. And I remember looking at Erica and she was looking back at me and she just had this look of, oh my gosh, you are in so much pain. And even if you hear Erica tell the story, she'll tell you that she didn't realize how much grief I was holding in. I was not ready to grieve that day and that moment. I wasn't ready to do any healing. I thought I was there for her. And because I wasn't ready to do any healing, I went in kicking and screaming. I was not ready. I didn't come there to do grief work. I came there to support Erica. But when I opened my mouth, there was only pain. And it was at that moment, that very moment right there, friends, it was at that very moment that I first became the griever. That I first realized, oh my gosh, I'm really grieving. Because also hearing other people tell their story in the room left me not like, it was so much grief and was so heavy. It was a mixed group of men and women, but it was very heavy. There was only this pain, and that was the moment I decided it was time to do the work, that I couldn't run from this anymore. That was it. There was no sign from the sky. God didn't rain down upon me. No rainbow came, no lightning bolt. It was actually an accident. It wasn't a magical day. It didn't suddenly feel easier. You will never feel ready for this. I promise you, you'll never feel ready for this. And this is the other thing I want to tell you. It's not easy. I'm not going to lie. It's not easy. There are beautiful women in my program right now doing the work. And I'm sure if I walked up on them, they'd probably want to throat punch me. Girl, look at where you have me at. Grief work isn't about feeling ready. It's about feeling sick of where you are, being done with this. It's something that we choose because The alternative to staying stuck and staying in this place and staying feeling this way feels like chaos, feels like numbness, feels like hardly bearable. I have a question for you. What have you told yourself you're waiting for? What do you think you're waiting for? What is the thing that you think you're waiting for? And how much longer will you wait for this thing? How much longer will you live in the pain, hoping that the right time will show up for you? One of the things about being in that group, well, one of the main things is that Erica and I didn't work together. That was one of the main things. She and I didn't work together, which I think was perfect. Our grief specialist separated us off into smaller groups, and she specifically didn't put family members together. I didn't know what I was waiting for either, Linda. But here was the thing that I thought was so amazing. She started from the very first beginning of the grief. And here's what she said was the first thing. This is what she said. There are no stages to grief and loss. There is no such thing as 5 stages. And I just looked at her because that was the tool that I had. Now, mind you guys, this was 19 years ago, right? I've been a grief specialist for 18 years, but this was 19 years ago. And Erica said out loud, "Thank you. I thought I was doing this wrong." Because you have no tools, because you don't know how to do the grief thing, when someone comes in and corrects the thing that you think is the right way to go, you all of a sudden realize, oh my gosh, I thought I was doing this wrong. And you get this relief. I said earlier, what is ready? But I want to know for some of us, what does ready even mean? Let's break it down. When people say I'm not ready, what they often mean is I'm afraid it will hurt too much. I'm afraid it will hurt too much. Oh, I'm afraid it will hurt. Did I say too much? I'm afraid of how much it will hurt. It will hurt. How much will it hurt? So I messed that up, but I'm not ready. This is going to hurt. It's going to hurt too much. I never promised you guys roses, rainbows, rainbow bridges, roses, feeling comfortable, laughing, right? I never promised you any of that. It getting down in there in the deep and telling the truth about yourself, it does hurt. They think that doing the work will relieve the pain, will mean that they're moving on. Hey, Tony, there's my friend Tony. I don't want to admit it. I don't want to admit how bad it is. I don't want to admit anything. The thing about grief work, which is so amazing, is that it's really content free. You have to tell the truth. You have to tell the truth always, but you're telling the truth to yourself. You can do the entire grieving experience without, there's my friend Tony, without admitting how bad it is to the room. You got to admit it to yourself. I'm scared I'll fall apart. You're going to fall apart. We all are going to fall apart. How are you doing, Tony? the thing about falling apart, and then thing about doing the grief work in a group is that there's always someone there to catch you. There's going to be someone there to catch you when you fall apart. And then the most important is I don't know what healing even looks like. I don't know what healing even looks like. Healing looks like being able to talk about your person without falling apart. Healing looks like being able to tell their name, telling stories of them, thinking about them and getting a smile on your face. Healing looks like being able to tell things that you've never told anyone. Healing looks like being able to look at their picture without running and hiding. Healing looks like being able to tell all of the grief story, the good, the bad, the sweet, the sour, all of it. Healing means being able to tell them how important they were to you, how important they were to you, and what a difference they made in your life. Healing looks like you know that you've lost your person. Your heart absolutely knows it, but it doesn't break you down every second of every day. Healing looks like talking and sharing stories about them. About Donovan being on the pretty committee. About Sharon showing up for me. The shenanigans that Sharon and I used to get into. About my dad. Even the parts that were not that pretty. Being able to talk about that. You're really not waiting for readiness, my friends. We're waiting for safety. We're waiting for certainty. We're waiting for control. And all of those things are gained through doing the work. You're waiting for a guarantee that doing this work and touching this grief won't make it worse. Will not make it worse. But here's the deal. You're in pain. You're in pain every single day. You're in pain right now. Grievers have choices, and staying in this pain is one of those choices. Staying in the pain is a choice. What are you actually afraid of? What are you actually afraid will happen? Hey, Christy, what are you actually afraid will happen if you go after this and you touch it? Would it mean let yourself be seen? Letting yourself be seen in your grief, even if it's messy, what would that look like for you? What if the person sitting next to you was also doing their grief work? What if you could feel the energy from her and you feel supported? Because that's what often happens in these groups when we get together. The myth of being right on time. Okay, there's going to be a time, and I'm going to know it when I see it. Right? There's going to be a perfect time for me. And right when it happens, I'm going to know this is the time for me to go and do my grief work. We convince ourselves that if we wait long enough, we'll be stronger, we'll be emotionally stable, we'll be more spiritually prepared. Friends, there is no right time. There just isn't. I wish to this day that I hadn't waited till the 8th month. Now, it was almost going into the 9th month, but I've had grievers come in at the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. They're not necessarily ready to do the work yet. They're ready to do more of this. Come into the lives, talk, share, come into Grief Study Hall, come into the emotional check-in. I'm totally fine with that too. If that's where you're at, I love it for you. If that's what you need right now, here's the thing. Between the 0 to the 6th month, all of that is great. What I find is that people that stay in past the 6th month start to become dependent on the group. And what I'd rather see you do is be in the group, but then start working on your grief. Zero to 6 months, you're in the support. 6 months and beyond, you start doing your grief work and you're doing the support. So you're doing both. Linda Lou says, I'm in the 4th month of grief. And that's where you start to really get into, okay. And it's somewhere between, Linda, somewhere between the 4th and 6th month, you're going to be ready. So you're doing the support groups. You don't want to stay in the support groups for an endless amount of time. At some point, it becomes comforting to be there, but you still haven't done your work yet. We convince ourselves that if we wait long enough, we'll be stronger, we'll be more stable. But that's just your brain trying to protect you. That's your brain trying to protect you from feeling. And I get it. Sarah says 6 months here. Yes. Typically, people look for me around the 6th month. Typically around the 6th month. I have some people around the 4th month, but it's really around the 6th month, because around the 6th month, the numbness really starts to wear off and the pain starts to come up. And when the pain starts to come up, it sometimes comes back stronger than it was in the beginning. Because the reality of what has happened to you, grief o'clock, because the reality of what has happened to you starts to hit you. The reality of what has just happened to you starts to hit you, and it becomes a little bit stronger. And I get it. Grief is a full body experience, and it will totally gut you. You're not weak. You're not weak for wanting to not go into this pain. But you are misled if you believe that waiting will make it easier, because it doesn't. It will make it go dormant, but it will not take it away. Sarah says, yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm okay again. Waiting doesn't build strength. Doing the actual work does. Okay, what is the work? You guys keep hearing me talk about the work. What is the work? The work is actually understanding grief, right? So first we need to understand. We need to learn what grief really is. We need to learn what grief really is and what does it play in our heart. We need to understand what grief really is. Grief is an emotional experience that takes place in our heart. Grief typically shows up like this. This is what grief is. So a lot of what you see me teaching in the lives is the definition of grief. This is part 2. We need to learn to lean in. That means processing the pain. That means crying. That means allowing the emotions. That's why the emotional check-in is so good. The emotional reset is so good, because I'm breaking down emotions. Quick commercial here. Sharon Brubaker, owner of the Grief School. If you did the emotional check-in last week and you also received the email today, there was a typo in the email today, bless her heart. My assistant is in the Philippines and they're off by a day, and so she put Tuesday, June 25th, and it's actually Wednesday. The emotional check-in is tomorrow. Oh, the emotional reset. I'm talking about emotions, how emotions affect your body. What do they do to your body? Why are emotions so important? It's part of the learning. Leaning in, allowing the emotion to be there, letting the emotion be there, giving the emotion a color. Where's it at? Where do you feel it in your body? Talking in the form of emotions. When that happened to you, what did that feel like? What emotion comes up for you when you think about that? Grief is also talking about emotions, leaning in to the emotions. And I teach this in Processing the Pain of Grief. All right. And then number 3 is going after the brokenness with completion. So complete the pain. That means I look at every aspect of the pain with you. I actually walk you through assignments where you're absolutely looking at the pain. I am working with a beautiful sister. So amazing. She's allowing me to sit with her as she does her grief work. We found so many areas of things that she needs to work on to do the completion. Just by talking. Just by talking. I give the assignment, you do the assignment, you come in, and then we just talk it through. What about this? Hey, what about that? I have no agenda. I'm just there. I'm just there trying to figure it out. It was amazing, amazingly beautiful. When you think your grief is going to be this way and it ends up being that way, you are not weak for not wanting to go and look at that pain. You're misled by the world. How long have you been waiting for the right time? This is what we do. This is what I do in the weekend. I start right here and I walk you through the whole thing. This is what I'm doing in the lives. I'm walking you through the definition of grief and helping you. We got to start talking grief. We have to start talking grief. Hear me out, friends. If you tell me, but yeah, Sharon, I'm functioning. I go to work every day. I go to the grocery store. I'm cooking. Functioning is not healing. You might be getting up. You might be going to work. You're doing your parenting. You're even grocery shopping without crying in the grocery store. From the outside, everybody at church thinks you are just doing fabulous. But on the inside, you're still shattered. Grief is not a place to stay. Broken is not a place to stay. If you are shattered on the inside, if you are angry, if you still feel lost, if you're still not sleeping, if you feel like you're not healing, if you feel like you're not coping, just surviving is not a way, friends. Healing means to live again, to truly live again. And let's be honest, functioning on the outside while you are absolutely dying on the inside is exhausting. Trying to hold it all together is exhausting. One of the most exhausting things I think on the grief healing journey is pretending. Pretending that you're okay. Pretending that you got it all together. Smiling and going to all the stuff when you really don't want it. Here's a great question for you. Are you surviving or are you healing? Are you surviving or are you healing? Pretending and holding together will deplete you. Yes. Surviving is a total technique in the beginning. Tracy says she's doing a lot of both. In the beginning, I think we have to survive because we have to be on the survival path because there's just no other way. We have no choice. The choice was taken from you, right? You have no choice but to try and survive. It was taken from you. You're just thrown into this thing and you're left to try and figure it out. Would you wait to treat a bleeding wound? Would you wait to treat a bleeding wound? If you sliced your leg open, I was talking about this in the beginning, and blood started pouring out, would you say, okay, yeah, maybe next week I'll go take a look at this? Or would you say, girl, you got to take me to the ER right now? Let me wait until I feel a little stronger and then I'll go. On the day that I had the heart attack last year, after I'd been to the hospital, after I'd been to the hospital multiple times with angina, one of the times I got up and I took a nitro and it worked, but it quickly stopped working. And I said to my husband, okay, well, we need to go to the hospital, but I need to take a shower first. And I really needed to take a shower. I'm not kidding. And he was like, if you don't get your ass in that car right now. So I didn't get to take the shower. I had to go. If it was someone else, would you take them to get help? If it was someone else, would you say, hey, come on, girl, we got to get help? What would you tell your friend? What would you tell your friend if you knew that I was here and I could help and you were sitting next to her and she wasn't doing well? Would you say, Sharon, can you help? Hey, Sharon, can you help my friend? We're good at bringing our friends for help, but yet we don't do it for ourselves. We rush them to the ER. We rush them into Sharon. People call me all the time. They text me, hey, my neighbor's husband just died. Here's her number, 555-4321. Can you call her? No, I'm not calling your neighbor. I'm not calling your neighbor. Exactly, Maureen. Give them, Monette, I'm sorry. Give them the phone number and tell them to call me. Give them my link. Because if they want help, they will come and find me. I'm not going to call your friend. I mean, can you imagine? Hi, Judy's neighbor. This is Sharon Brubaker, and I'm a grief specialist. Judy told me your husband just died. Well, I'm a grief specialist, and I sit with women while they're grieving, and I'd be honored to sit with you. I would sound like a freak. I'm not doing that. People have to come this way. You also have to come this way. You're already here. You made it this far. Welcome. I'm honored to have you here. Would you rush someone you know to get help? Would you help them stop the bleeding? Would you want someone who understands what to do to be there to do it? That's what the grief work is. We have to stop the emotional bleeding. We have to stop the emotional pain. You're not weak for needing help. I needed help. I didn't know how to do this. You are human. And your wound, your broken heart deserves attention. My wound, my broken heart deserved the attention. But I got confused. I went completely intellectual and thought it was my job to take care of Erica. I thought it was my job to make sure she was okay because that's what I'd done my entire life. I'm 10 years older than her. I was there when both of her babies were born. I was helping her with the breastfeeding. I did all the decorating for her wedding. I went with her to pick out her wedding dress. I know you guys are probably like, well, where was your mom? She and I just had that type of relationship. My mom was there. You're not weak for needing help, I promise you. I want you to ask this question of yourself. What keeps you from seeking emotional first aid? What is keeping you from seeking emotional first aid? Here's the other thing, and I say this, but I want to go a little bit deeper. This is also something that I thought. I thought Erica was broken. Can you imagine? Like she was broken, like she will never be the same again. She will never be fixed again. I thought she was broken. Monette, you're just coming with all the advice today, emotional band-aids, the grief clock. You are not broken. You are grieving. So let me throw out another lie. That you need a better place emotionally. You need to be in a better place before you start your work. I want you to come raw. I want that raw grief. You're absolutely right. Feeling like no one gets it. Feeling like no one gets it, like no one truly understands it. She said, I'm serious though for myself. You're so cute. Feeling like no one gets it, like no one understands it. Absolutely. I would prefer you bring me all the raw, ugly grief and let me open the package and look in it, you and I look in it together. And I throw out what is not necessary. And then I package it all together and say, okay, let's deal with this. You come messy. You come feeling broken. You come feeling like you're not going to be able to make it. You come mid breakdown. You bring your anger, bring your confusion, bring your guilt, your regret, your disbelief. I want it all. Because bring the part you don't even want to say out loud. Bring the part you're embarrassed about. Because that is all the stuff that we need to work on. The parts actually start connecting. Well, what about this? What about that? Tell me about this. How did that make you feel? How did that show up? You're embarrassed to bring this one part, and it's huge part for your healing. Healing does not require you to be okay before you start, because I promise you, you're not going to get to okay. You are not going to get to okay. You may feel a shift, but you're not going to get to okay. It is in you going down deep and looking at this. You honestly going deep into that thing and looking at it, talking about it, cracking it open, sharing it, that you really get to move it. I wish more people had even baseline knowledge about trauma and grief and holding space for others. Girl. Butterfly Rose said, there's nothing I wouldn't share with you. You're an amazing woman. Thank you. I'm glad I've created a safe place for you. EK, that's exactly how I felt. And you guys hear me tell this story all the time, but I thought there was going to be somebody with the answers. We've got to change the way we talk about grief. We've got to change the way we talk about trauma, the way we talk about PTSD, the way we go into our heart. We've got to allow people the space to absolutely share that. Hear me out, and this is huge, and I'm going to say this loud as I can. Healing does not require you to be okay. There is not a day that you're going to come to. You're not going to go like this and get right here and be like, okay, call Sharon. I've gotten to the spot. It doesn't require you to be okay. It requires you to show up as you are, broken, ready to do the work. Grief doesn't care that it's like this. Grief healing doesn't care that it's like that. You just got to show up. That's where I want to start working tomorrow in the emotional reset. If you signed up for the emotional reset and you got all the crazy emails and all that, you're going to be getting an invite to tomorrow with the Zoom link. If you haven't done so yet, go to the link in my bio and click on the link that says click here for hope. I'm going to start where we left off. Where we left off is on the emotional triad and the brain and the heart. I want to do the heart and brain connection. The videos from my teaching are in the portal from last week, probably mostly unedited. They're there. I don't edit anything, so it's there. And I'm going to take off from that. What is the brain doing? What is the brain doing with the emotions? Why are the brain and the emotions and the heart not working on the same page? Why are they in different places? Why is this brain telling me that I'm going to be okay? What is it this thing is doing? Everyone around you wants you to move on. I know that they do. They want you to move on. It's not for people to move on. That's not what the program tomorrow night is going to be. It's going to be about finding out what are the things that I can do to help myself right now. I do have the right glasses. How could you tell? Okay, so these are the computer glasses. These were the ones I picked first. These were going to be my everyday glasses. And these are the ones I couldn't see the computer on. And so she said, when I took them back, she's like, well, you have to lift your head a little bit. No, lady, you're crazy. So those are these. Okay. So then I went back and I got these. And they put the same prescription in it. And I couldn't see out of these either. So then I took these back and I said, you're crazy. I can't see out of these and I can't see out of these. And these I love, yes. They're men's. I always buy my glasses in the men's section. I like a little bit bigger. So, but Tony loves for me to wear seamless glasses. So this is like the third time I've done this. I've gotten these seamless glasses. Except when you don't have hair, you cannot wear seamless glasses. So I got these for when I wear my hats. Because I wear a lot of caps. Because this looks better with a hat on. There you go. See? It looks better with a hat on. So I can wear the seamless glasses when I have that. So now I have 3 pairs of glasses, and I don't know. I can't see, couldn't see out of either one, but they fixed it. So these are the ones I like, but that's for my everyday. And then these, they made them just for the computer. And so now I can see. Yeah. Yesterday, or was it Sunday, I was in the class. I can't even see you guys when we're on the thing. I'm like, thank you. Thank you, EK. I couldn't see. I was like, no, lady, this is not working. Then I remembered, so they made these just for this distance. So the whole class is just for that distance. Hey, what part of yourself are you hiding? What part of yourself have you not talked about with anyone? What part of yourself do you think is too much to share? Can you allow yourself to be helped, do you think? Are you ready to start talking about the story? Are you ready to start? Thank you, guys. Are you ready to start sharing about it? Because here's the deal. When we do the work, it's not about me giving you more pain. It's about us going in and removing the pain. What I'm trying to put in here is relief. I want to pour relief in there into your heart. I want to take out the pain and pour in the relief. One of the biggest misunderstandings about grief is that it will make things worse. Doing the grief work is going to make things worse. I honestly thought it was going to get worse. But I also thought I was giving up Austin by doing the work. I thought it was disrespectful to him. And hear me out. I thought that was an original thought. It's not original. A lot of grievers tell me that. You're already carrying this pain. And you're becoming really good at it. You're becoming professional. Grief work isn't about adding more pain. I'm not trying to add more pain. I'm not adding more pain. I'm trying to remove the pain. We will be removing the pain, giving it somewhere to go, releasing it. It's like finally dropping the backpack of emotional baggage, the bricks that you've been dragging around for months, days, years. And yes, when we do the relief, tears might come. You might absolutely cry. And there will be moments where you'll be really frustrated. And there'll be moments that you feel like you can't breathe. But that's where I'm going to give you the hug. That's where I'm going to be in your space. That's where I'm going to hold your space. And the thing I'm going to put in that space for you is some peace. She said, yes. Years ago, a therapist said, don't you think it's time to get some of that down? Some of that grief work down? Some of the pain down? What would it feel like to finally let go of the grief? What do you think it would feel like for you? Oh, some of the heaviness. Yes. You are holding on to too tight. It becomes comforting. It becomes so comforting. It becomes people are talking about your new normal, which is one of the things that Erica and I don't care about. The new normal is where you're absolutely trying to learn how to live. The new normal is trying to learn how to live with that grief pain. It's so extremely heavy. You're right. I want you to answer this honestly for yourself. What are you waiting for? If you keep telling me, I'm not ready, my question is, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for time to make the pain hurt less? Because it's not going to happen. Are you waiting for someone to give you permission? I'm giving you permission. You have permission. Come on in. Are you waiting for the world to sound less loud? Because it is through doing the work that the quietness starts. Are you waiting for the memory of your person to start fading? Because I don't want that to happen at all. None of those things are going to happen. Time will pass. The pain is going to stay. And unless you choose to meet it head on, it will stay there. What are you waiting for? Sometimes the sign is that this pain itself is just not moving. Are you not sick of the sleepless nights? The sudden fits of rage, the yelling and screaming at everyone? Are you sick of the tears in the grocery store? The way you feel lost when you're all by yourself? Are you sick of driving around and then realizing, oh my gosh, I went 10 blocks out of the way? Grief will take you out of the moment. Grief takes you out of the moment. I believe that most of you know that your grief is saying, enough. I've had enough. I'm done. But we're not listening. You're not broken. You're hurting. And healing is available for you. And it is absolutely okay for you to do your grief healing work. It was okay for me. And I promise you guys, I was a pain in the butt. I was a pain in the butt. I pushed back, but she just kept going. She just kept right on giving it right back to me. And the day that there was a Saturday morning, we came together to do our grief work. And I went in yelling and screaming. I wasn't yelling and screaming, but I didn't want to do it. We went home, and that day I went home and I got in the bed and I cried all day. I really missed Austin. I cried all day. And in the morning, I was like, And I felt some relief. I was like, this feels different. Oh my gosh. It was, and not everybody feels it this way, but I felt instant relief. I felt the shift completely. The shift, Debbie. And I got up and I called Erica. I got on the phone and I called Erica. And I said, she was doing dishes. And I was like, no, man, we were talking. And then I didn't want to say, this is it. I didn't want to say, hey, girl, I'm over your son. I didn't want it to sound like that. I said, hey, girl, I think that thing worked. Those are my exact words. And she said, that grief healing? And I was like, yeah. She said, hell yeah, it worked. And she was screaming at the top of her lungs. My gosh, I feel so different. And I said, the next words out of my mouth, I said, Erica, we have to help people. We have to help people. There are people out there like us that don't know what to do. We have to help people. And that's how it started. I called her. She said yes. And then that very next year, 2007, we got certified in our first grief program. One of many. I'm so glad that I've taken more than one grief program because I take a little bit from each one and I've put it together. Stuff that I love, stuff that I liked. Sometimes we need a little tough love. Yep. This afternoon I sat in the garden and just cried, even after the shift. I love it. I felt a small shift even from Sunday study hall. That's what happens. Like when we can talk and we can share about it, we get this release. And we'll have multiple releases, but the biggest relief comes when we do the work. The pain will become a sign. The sleepless nights, the sudden rage, the tears in the grocery store. Are we sick of them? I did that already. Grief will wait. I promise you your grief will wait, but it won't heal itself. It's not a magic bullet. It's not going to heal itself. Here's the hard truth. You can wait. You can wait months. You can wait years. You can wait decades. Grief will not disappear. It just gets buried until something cracks open again. You don't have to wait for the next breakdown for it to begin. You can start now. You can start in the grief emotional check-in tomorrow. Not when the pain is gone, but while the pain is here, while it is so present. It is that moment that you have this thing that you can share. It's that moment that the healing becomes possible. When you get to meet your grief on purpose. You purposely go in and you look at the grief. She says, I'm sick and tired. I'm tired of being sick and tired. I will get there. Yes, my love, you will. Because the pretending is exhausting. You don't earn healing. You don't have to suffer through this large amount of pain. And then they're like, oh man, you're ready. You don't have to cry harder to prove how much you love them. We know that you love them. You are already enough. You already deserve peace. You already deserve to breathe again. You deserve to say their name. It's okay to heal. And it's okay to heal now. And it's okay to feel better. Butterfly Rosa says, my first shift was amazing. I knew it. I felt it. I even wrote the date and the person. Amazing. Yes. Yes. It's okay to heal now. It's okay to feel better. It's okay to want something more. I promise you. Let's talk about how you know you're ready. How do you know you're ready? Most of us don't know. We don't know when we're ready. But if you're asking the question, and if you've been here this long and you're listening to everything I'm saying and it's all starting to make sense and you're tired of feeling this way, the truth is this: readiness isn't a feeling, it's a decision. Being ready is a decision. It's the moment when you stop wanting and start starting. Hey, this is when I met you. What would it mean if you decided you were ready right now? I want to invite you all to come with me tomorrow night to the Grief Emotional Check-In. If you've already signed up, you're going to be in. Go to the link in the bio that says click here for hope. Sign up. It's $19. It's this Wednesday, next Wednesday, and the Wednesday after that. We're going to be doing emotional and intellectual work. It's June 25th, tomorrow, Wednesday, from 5 to 7. And then July 2nd, from 7 to 9. And then July 9th, from 5 to 7. It's going to be 3 amazing days for us to be together. It's about me helping you and meeting you where you are. Meeting you where you are. We're going to do 1 hour of teaching on intellect and emotion. And then we're going to do 1 hour of grief share. It's about us sitting in a circle of women who are hurting just like you, who are tired of pretending, and who are craving peace. It is the first part. I want to start here. Come as you are, come broken, come angry, come silent, just come. I promise you, just come. What would it feel like to totally see your grief in a different way? That's where I want to get to. What would it feel like to totally see your grief in a different way? All right, friends, I'm not going to hang out in TikTok tonight. I hear 2 3-year-olds absolutely screaming out there. They're exhausted, so I'm going to go check on them. I also have to cook for Tony, and it's 8 o'clock, and he's still suffering with his sinus infection, and I haven't done that yet. I will be back tomorrow. I think I'm going to be on at about 3 o'clock Central Standard Time before the emotional check-in. So I'll be back tomorrow about 3 o'clock. I'm going to come on live just before we go on. I love each and every one of you. You are all so important to me. You make this possible. Hi, Christy. Are you related to James Wilkinson? The guy that I was married was in Kansas. Oh, okay. Wish you retry calling. Okay. I will retry calling. Miss Lisa, I will. Lisa, are you coming, darling? Yeah, darling. Are you coming to the emotional reset tomorrow night? Tomorrow night or next Wednesday or the Wednesday after that? I'd love to meet you in person, my love. I'd love to meet you in person. Click the link in the bio that says Beacons AI, the Grief School, and you can sign up there. If you're in the TikTok, you go to the link in the bio and says click here for hope. All right, friends. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you all, and I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you.